We're going to be talking Winter Olympics, Trinidad Chambliss and his court case, along with some college hoops tonight. We're going to dive right into, I'm going to call this Kevin Sweet's magical moments,
Ooh,
the Olympics right now. So, Kevin, I'll let you get us started here.
You gotta love the Olympics. The one great thing about the Olympics is the fact that it only happens every 4 years. So everybody watches it. Even the Winter Olympic sports that you might not always watch, but you certainly will when it comes to the Olympics. Today, the Olympic hockey team played, and I guess going back to 1980 when I was a kid, and I've always loved watching Olympic hockey since that time frame. Probably the greatest sports upset in my lifetime, and maybe in the history of sports. That year when the U.S. beat Russia that night 4-3, and then went on to win the gold 2 days later. So the hockey team played today and beat Latvia 5-1. Had a goal also taken off the board. So a dominant victory today for the hockey team. Let's hope that continues. I look forward to more games that they play, and I would love. They've not won that Olympic gold since 1980. I believe they won it before that in 1960. So I would love to see them get back to that gold medal match and win it. Sweet, any thoughts on that or any Olympic moment for yourself?
yeah. My Olympic moment so far is not, it's not about the spirit of the games, but the Olympic figure skaters. I'm not a big figure skating guy, so judging it is not something that I would do and say I could do it well. However, the U.S. couple was screwed by the French judge, who the French ended up winning the gold because the French judge screwed the Americans. Now, the average score for the Americans was around 137 ish, and then the French judge gave them a score of 129. The only judges to give them less than 135 on their thing. Had they scored, had they been the lowest and still got like 134 or something, they would have still won by a long way. But that judging was so bad and just so, off. And it's obvious, when it's your own country. It's happened before. It happened to Roy Jones in Seoul when he fought Park, the Korean boxer. That it was just, and stuff like that. That is disgusting. But sadly, it's political. It's what the world is. But I hope that it's starting to catch a little fire now. So hopefully, it gets out there and somebody does something about it, or at least hold the judge accountable. Because that's just not what the Olympics are supposed to be about. Where are we going next, D-Mac?
Yeah, let's go to Trinidad Chambliss and his court case. I know there was a ruling today, so I'll let Kevin jump right into Trinidad's court case.
Yeah. So as I jump into this, just a reminder: hockey team plays Saturday at 2 o'clock Central, 3 Eastern. So even though it is Valentine's Day, watch the hockey team with your Valentine, and then they followed up with Sunday. Getting into the Trinidad case, Trinidad was granted an injunction today by the judge in Mississippi. I guess there should be no surprises. Um, but I mean, like when you dig into this and listen, the the Trinidad defense and the reason that he claimed he was entitled to another year was all based on tonsillitis. And to hear the doctor give testimony and the judge in his ruling, this must have been the worst case of tonsillitis that anybody's ever had in their life. The judge in the ruling referenced that he was crying so bad when he had it. The doctor said he couldn't sleep, was snoring. I know many people in life that snore, so I'm not sure that tonsillitis and snoring really gives you a bad life. I mean, I don't know. So I mean, it just reeks of desperation. But you know how you got it. And then another thing that the judge said at the end was that there was irreparable harm proven to Trinidad, um, and that irreparable harm was if he was not granted this, he would lose out on the contract that he has at Ole Miss, which would pay him $4 million. Now, keep in mind that right now he's rated a second round draft pick, and that could climb to a first. second round draft pick last. I think it was the Saints, Tyler Shelf, that he gets. I think his got a $14 million deal, so over 3 years. So I don't know which one is better. 14 million over 3 years, 4 million over one. I don't know. And a lot of times those guaranteed contracts, if you're first or second round, your signing bonus is up front, and that's really the biggest part of your money. In Tyler's case, I think his signing bonus was 10 million. So again, I don't know which one's better, 10 or 4, but I know what happened today. Granted him a 6-year, and it's just crazy. The only thing I would agree with the judge in this case, and look, I'm not a judge, so he's probably a smart guy, but the only thing I would agree with him is he did make the statement that the NCAA has been so inconsistent in their granting of waivers over the years, and he kind of leaned into that a little bit. So that'd be the only thing that I would agree with him on. Again, buying into the whole year-long tonsillitis episode is crazy to me. When he did play in some games, and I'm sure he worked out some during that time frame too. So I don't get it. You've played 5 years. It's time to move on. It's time to grow up, be an adult, go into the real world. Not that he's not an adult, but you're 23, 24 years old. Let the next player that's 19, 20 coming up, let him go and play, and let's see what happens there. Sweet, your thoughts on the Trinidad case?
Yeah, Judge Whitwell was only one of 2 idiot judges there today. The bigger idiot judge was Joe Judge, the Ole Miss coach, who got up there and, for lack of a better way to say it, lied his ass off about how the whole process worked for him. He said that if he finds out one of his players has sleep apnea, then they're not playing. They're not playing until they get that cured.
Oh, whatever.
That's not how that works, Joe. So why lie and make it up? Well, I mean, you lied because you wanted to get the kid back in, and then saying that, telling the baby mamas that, hey, when you have those babies, you're on your own if you're married to a football player, because football players gotta get rest and make that money. DMAC, as the only single guy on this panel, I would recommend you not try that. If you get married and have babies, I would recommend that you participate. Even if you are balling and making millions a year, participate, or you will be single again. Yeah, that was wild that he would say that, but I mean, it gave us something to talk about and laugh about, because the whole country is busting up about that line right there. So,
as the single guy here, Joe Judge did note that that's only during the season. Outside of the season, go be rock star, Dad. But hey, we're paying you a lot of money to be here and be focused. Can't defend everything that he said, but yeah, in pro sports, I would imagine that there's some similar conversations there where, hey, mom, you might need to take the lead when we're in a playoff run, in the major leagues or something. I'm not saying don't acknowledge and don't take care of your kid, but maybe mom gets up for 1 or 2 of those midnight feedings that are your turn. But
it was kind of funny. I mean, he's making it sound like Aaron Rodgers is going to bed at home on Saturday night, waking up at 3 in the morning and then he has a noon game the next day, so he's going to be tired. Shit, those guys are in a hotel 2-3 days before they play that game. They're not at home with the wife and baby. That's you're making stuff up there. It's just like I said, anybody who knows anything about football and the way the football teams travel and stuff was listening to that, saying, that's a few nights a week, early in the week when they're practicing stuff that, but hey, it worked.
And again, the sleep apnea. There's not a coach alive that is going to sit a player over sleep apnea.
Nah,
not a one. I mean, if a player got 2 hours of sleep because they're out partying all night, and that happens, you think they're going to sit them over sleep apnea?
Lawrence Taylor was the best player in the NFL on 2 hours sleep.
Not a chance. If that guy is a starter, he is playing. I mean, we all know this. That's just the most insane thing, And again, it's if the kid gets his year, fine, he gets his year, but it's just a circus. That's the disappointing thing. It's a circus. You got grown adults, coaches that are getting paid a lot of money. You got judges. You got grown adults that are just making this a sideshow and a circus. So that's my thoughts on the Trinidad. And look, no more Winidad, okay? No more.
No,
Let's see how next year goes. Go ahead.
He decided to stay put at Ole Miss. He was no longer Winidad.
I'm sorry, he's a sissy if he's up there crying about tonsillitis. Sissy.
That's what the judge said. That's what the doctor said. He was in tears.
Tell all the lies you got to tell to try to win the sympathetic vote, but nobody, I've watched 3 and 4 year olds go through it and not cry. I'm sure that Trinidad was okay.
I feel confident he was okay.
It was again, a severe case, guys.
No.
Grown adults making a mockery and putting on a clown show is what it was.
Well, good luck to him.
I think this is a good segue to talk some college hoops now. Let's get started with Michigan State, Wisconsin. I'll take this one. Michigan State's number 10 in the country. They're 20-4, 10-3 in the Big Ten. Wisconsin, the host for this game, 17-7, 9-4 in the Big Ten. Both of these teams are playing really good basketball right now. Wisconsin's 8-2 in their last 10, averaging 84 points a game, 16 assists, 31 rebounds, shooting 44.6% from the field, and they've held their opponents to 77.9. So they've won a bunch of close games here. And then you look at Michigan State, also 8-2 in their last 10, averaging just a hair under 80 points a game, 37 boards, 18 assists, shooting 48.6%. And they're really playing solid defense, holding their opponents to 66 points a game. So kind of the bottom line here, Michigan State is traveling to Wisconsin. Jeremy Fears Jr. scored 26 points in their last game out and an 85-82 win in overtime over Illinois. Wisconsin's 12-2 on their home court this season. And with their 83.3 points a game for the season, that's third in the Big Ten. Michigan State's really good at scoring when they get the ball moving off a steal or a rebound, averaging about 17 fast break points a game. That leads them in the Big Ten. Both of these teams shoot pretty well, and this meeting tomorrow night on Friday is going to be the first for these two teams this season in conference play. So let me see what the projection is on this one. Michigan State is a 1.5 point favorite on the road at Wisconsin. I'm gonna roll with Nick Boyd, who's averaging 20 points a game at the guard spot for Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin wins this game at home in a close one. What are your thoughts, Kevin?
I like Wisconsin in this game. So I was just looking. Wisconsin has won 8 out of 9 games, and again, I look at February. February is it's the time of year that you're playing to get the goods to advance your seed, to raise your seed or lower your seed, I guess would be the right word. To be the higher ranked team, lower your seed into the NCAA tournament. And Wisconsin is battling to get that. They have 7 losses on the season, but again, they've won 8 out of 9 games. And including in that, beat Illinois at Illinois the other night in overtime. Actually, 7 out of 9. I didn't see that Indiana loss, but they've won 7 out of 9 games. They also beat Michigan in this stretch at Michigan, and so they've had some good wins. Beat Ohio State. have a win on the road by 27 over Penn State. So yeah, I like Wisconsin in this game, playing on their home court. They got a lot to play for. I wouldn't. They're not in that 4 to 5 seed range now, but if they win this game, they uh, could jump into that 4 to 5 seed, and then eventually maybe win a couple more and be a solid 4. And that's a big point. Again, if you're a 4 seed, you're playing a 13 in that first round. You got a good chance of winning that game. You don't want to be a 5 or a 6. 5-12, you lose a lot of those. 6-11, and then it only gets tighter from there. So Wisconsin's got a lot to play for there, and also Michigan State. Michigan State's battling to get into that 2 seed line, and their win over Illinois the other night, helped their chances there. So it's a big game for both these teams, and these Friday night games on Fox have been really good. Last week, St. John's upset UConn, so we got a good game to watch again this Friday. Sweets, your thoughts?
Yeah, give me Michigan State. I'll start off with that. I just love the way that Jeremy Fears Jr. is playing. I've been trumpeting his play for the past 3 weeks since we've been talking about basketball. The kid's just doing it all. Now that being said, he's probably going up against one of the better backcourts in the country in Wisconsin, led by D-Max Boyd, Nick Boyd, and John Blackwell. But I really like Michigan State here. I think that they're starting to hit their stride now, and Izzo's got them gelling at the right time. So give me Michigan State. Give me Michigan State by 5. Get Michigan State by 5. Where are we going next, D-Mac?
Yeah, I think we're going Kansas, Iowa State. Is that right, Kevin?
That is it. So you got 2 top 10 teams, and maybe the game of the week here being played in Ames, Iowa. Which is one of the toughest places to play in college basketball. Iowa State's 21-3, KU's 19-5. Kansas has won 7 games in a row, have not lost since January 10th. So this would be their 8th game in a row that they're going for to win. They beat Iowa State earlier this year in Lawrence, so they're going for the sweep. They have not swept Iowa State since 2022. And again, you can go back to the Johnny Orr days at Iowa State. Ames, Iowa is one of the, like I said, one of the toughest places to win a basketball game. They don't call it Hilton Magic for nothing. There's not a lot to do in Iowa in the winter and the snow. So if you get a chance to go inside and watch a basketball game against 2 top 10 teams, that crowd will be there and they will be loud. Iowa State is actually the 5.5-point favorite in this game. Iowa State is led by Josh Jeffries and then also Milan Matsalevic. Matsalevic is shooting 54% from 3, averaging 18.6 per game. Iowa State also averages 40% from 3. So they're one of the top 3-point shooting teams. They're also a top 10 defensive team. Flip that over to Kansas. They're led by Mem Council, average 15, 16 points a game. He's been their most solid, consistent player, only because Darren Patterson has missed 11 games this year. Patterson is their best player. The question is, will he play this week, this Saturday? He missed Kansas's Monday night game, which was a huge win. They beat Arizona. Arizona was undefeated at that time, but they went into Lawrence and took a loss. Kansas pretty much led that game the whole way. So Patterson was sick over the weekend, missed practice Sunday, came to shoot around Monday, but didn't end up playing in the game. So I think that's a big question for Kansas is, will he play this game? I don't think it's going to matter. I know Kansas has won 7 in a row, and I look at 3 teams that I think are really playing well right now and that are really up in their stock, and that would be Kansas, Florida, North Carolina. They're all 3 of those teams are playing to be a 2 or a 3 seed. Kansas would be a 2 seed, I think, right now. All that being said, I think Ames, Iowa is too tough. I think the Hilton Magic will prevail. The top 10 defense that Iowa State presents, I think it will be good enough Saturday to get a win. I don't know if they'll cover the spread. I'm going to go Iowa State 76-72. Sweets, any thoughts on Kansas State, Iowa State, or Kansas? Lord, I should never say that.
It's going to be a tough game in Ames. I really like the way Kansas is playing right now. They, coming off the big upset against Arizona. That being said, I could see this being a letdown game for him. And since TJ Olsenberger has taken over at Iowa State, I don't know that any team has beat him in a home and home. Maybe one team has beat him home and home in the same season. But Bill Self isn't one of those guys. So if he's able to pull off the win against Iowa State Saturday, he will be, I believe, the first one to get a home and home against him. So I like Iowa State. I like Iowa State by about 5 or so. I think the home crowd in college is actually a bigger factor than it ever dreamed of being in the pros. So give me the Cyclones at home. DMAC?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm taking the Cyclones here. Now, if this game was being played in Kansas, I would love the Jayhawks because of what Bill Self has done against top 10 teams at home. But with it being in Ames, I'm rolling Iowa State here. So that brings
one more point on it, on the fact that this game is being played in Ames. Iowa State is undefeated this year at home, so it's the 7-game winning streak for Kansas against the fact that Iowa State is absolutely undefeated at home, and we're all three going with Iowa State. So take that for what it's worth. So who are we going to next?
I think Purdue, Iowa.
All right, let's go Purdue, Iowa. The Boilermakers are traveling to Iowa City to face the Hawkeyes in a Big Ten matchup. Purdue is ranked 13th in the country at 20-4, 10-3 in the Big Ten, while the Hawkeyes are 18-6 and 9-4 in the Big Ten. Big game for both teams here. Both teams are playing for seeding right now. Iowa's trying to shore up their bid. Purdue is pretty much in if they can keep the train on the tracks. Lots of great matchups in the game. The point guard battle between Braden Smith and Bennett Sturts is going to be a really great one. Smith averages 15.5 a game with 9 assists, and Sturts averages 20.4 a game along with 5 assists. He was recently named to the Wooden Award watch list recently. Sturts was. Should be a really good game. Iowa's 11-0 this season when forward Alvaro Fogueres scores in double figures. So what they need to do is feed Alvaro, no? And I think they're going to do that. I like Iowa. I like Iowa to get the win here, and I think that's going to be an upset. I didn't get the line. DMAC, you're the FanDuel official bookie of the site. So go ahead and look that up, and I'll give you my what the cover is.
Yeah, Purdue is a 1.5 point favorite.
Iowa covers because they win straight up. Give me Iowa by 6. Go Hawkeyes. DMAC?
Yeah, I'm with you. I like Iowa here. Big fan of Bennett Sturts. I like the way he plays. I think he's a better point guard than Smith on the other side. So give me Iowa to win here and win big. I know you picked a 6-point win. I'm going to go 12-point win for the Hawkeyes at home. Get some offense going, something their football teams lacked the last decade, and give me the Hawkeyes. What about you, Kevin?
Well, Purdue won a big game on the road the other day, so give me Purdue and their point guard play. I think this game, give me a 2-point win at the buzzer for Purdue. I'll take them. Let me be the dissenter. We can't all agree on 2 games in a row, so give me Purdue.
But for those who bet games, we all picked Iowa State. That's a heavy. You better bet the farm on Kansas. If it's anything like football.
Well, it certainly turned out that way for Duke the other night, right? If you would have taken Carolina, you would have won money. The Carolina money line was the play.
Yes, sir. Where does that take us to next?
Yeah, let's go Kentucky at Florida. I'll get things going here. Little Valentine's Day game. And man, those Kentucky Wildcats. I'm just gonna make my prediction first and then talk about the game in this one. those Wildcats are going to be heading back to Lexington brokenhearted after this one. Both of these teams have won 4 of their last 5. Florida's got 4 in a row after a big win over A&M a few days ago, followed by a 20-point win over Georgia. They're averaging 87 points a game, only giving up 71, shooting 47% from the floor, averaging 46 rebounds a game. This Florida team is really starting to click at the right time. They're 11.5-point favorites in this one. And I'm gonna say they cover this one. I'm gonna go 16-point win for the Gators at home to improve to 10-2 in the SEC. What are your thoughts, Sweets?
I mean, they've won 4 straight. They dog walked Georgia by 20 in Athens the other day, and their defense ranked 6th in the country in efficiency. They're just, we talked about it a few weeks ago. I think that they were the top. I think we had 2 or 3 of us, or maybe all 3 of us had them as the top team in the SEC, and I think that holds true. I like Florida to win the game. However, gosh, 11.5 is a lot. But I'm going to take Florida to cover 2 because Vegas knows what they're talking about, and that 11.5 line screams take Kentucky to me. So I like Florida to cover here. Kevin?
Yeah, Kentucky, you referenced that Georgia game, and that was at Georgia. And so I say Florida, I've mentioned that. So, and Florida also won by 20 over Texas A&M, who they were tied with in the conference lead. And that was last Saturday in a game that at one time they were up by almost 30 in that game. So I like Kentucky to lose this game pretty decidedly against Florida. I would not be surprised if Florida beats them by 20 at home. Florida beat Alabama by 23 2 weekends ago. I don't think anybody's playing better than Florida right now. Now Arizona's the number 1 team in the country, and they've only got 1 loss. So I still think they're the best team in the country, but I don't think anybody's playing better than Florida. So give me Florida in this one.
Okay, that'll take us next to Duke Clemson. I'll jump into that. Duke is number 4 in the country, 22-2, 11-1 in the ACC, and they'll host Clemson, who is 20th in the country at 20-5 and 10-2 in the ACC. This is a lover special here, the Valentine's Day special here at Cameron Indoor, and this is 2 of the top teams in the ACC with first place on the line coming into the game, so should be really good. Duke's do-it-all freshman Cameron Boozer leads the team in scoring with 23 a game, rebounds 10 a game, assists 4 a game, 1.8 steals a game. Fortunately, somebody else decided to block a few shots, or he'd lead the team in that too. Patrick Nagamba leads the team in blocks with 1.3 a game. Clemson is led by R.J. Godfrey, averaging just under 12 a game. Carter Weiling averages just under 6 boards a game, and Dylan Hunter averages 3.1 rebounds a game. Clemson guard Ace Buckner exited Wednesday's game with a leg injury, so it remains to be seen if he's going to be able to play on Saturday. Clemson's biggest strength is their defensive rebounding, and Duke's strength is they boast one of the nation's best defenses. They're ranked 6th in points allowed at 63.5 a game. Despite their recent home loss, Clemson is 6-0 on the road in the ACC. But that ends going to Cameron on Saturday. Duke's going to beat them 72-61, and it's not going to be close. Duke's going to handle the game from the get-go. DMAC?
So you don't take the Blue Devils to cover the 11.5-point spread. Almost a push there.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, I like it. 11, it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Duke wins this game handedly. Yeah, I'd almost take Cameron Boozer if it was just him out there. That's how highly I think of him this year. But no, their entire team's playing good basketball right now. 22-2. They're going to improve to 12-1 in the ACC after this one. And I'm going to go another 16-point win here for the Blue Devils to cover the spread. What are your thoughts, Kevin?
Carlos Boozer's been outstanding this year. The only blemish to me is that loss at North Carolina, just because they were up in that game at 10 at half, and well, they were up 12 at half and let that game get away from them. So I think Duke's going to win this game. Clemson's a tough team, though. They'll try to slow this game down. Duke is going to want to play more up tempo in this game. Clemson's going to want to keep it in the 60s. So that's my Cameron. Cameron and Cameron.
We knew who you were talking about.
That's right.
Carlos didn't have 4 assists in his career.
No, he didn't. But he played on the block, and I watched him growing up. So yeah. So anyhow, but give me Duke, like you guys said. Give me Duke in this one. I'm going to say they're going to win by 16. That's tough though with a team that slows it down like Clemson, though. So, but I think Duke will be able to get out and get up and down the floor. So give me Duke in this game, 76-60. And that's going to move us to Tech and Arizona, right?
Yep.
So interesting game here with Tech and Arizona. You've got Tech, who's ranked 16. Arizona's the number 1 team in the country. Interesting part of this game to me is you have 2 coaches that are younger coaches in college basketball and have taken over these programs and elevated them. Tommy Lloyd, who's came from Gonzaga, and he's been at Arizona for a few years now and done very well there. Every year he's been there, he's had him in the top 10. So and done very well. So he's done a good job. And then Grant McCasland, he's done really well at Tech. You know, Chris Beard got Tech started, and I'm not going to say McCasland's done better, but in 2 seasons, last year he had them in the Elite 8, and this year they're a good team, and they're going to make another run to possibly get to that Elite 8 and maybe to a Final Four. So 2 really good coaches, I think, in this game will make this game entertaining. It's a 10.5-point spread. Game's being played at Arizona. This is actually where game day is going to be at this week. Texas Tech's led by J.T. Toppin, maybe the best player in the Big 12, and the Big 12's got a lot of good players, a lot of good teams. Toppin's averaging 21.5. Arizona's led by Braden Burries, and they play a lot of up tempo too. Both these teams are going to get up and down the floor. This game's going to end up in the 80s and may get into the 90s. I think it's going to be a competitive game. If I was going to bet the spread, I would take Tech. But I'm, just playing the game straight up and picking the game, I'm going to go Arizona in this one. I'm going to give Arizona the win with a 92-85 win and a well-played game. 2 teams that I think will do very well in March. I will say that. Tech is a win over Houston. Houston's a good team. Arizona, their only loss is to Kansas at Kansas. And there's no shame in losing at Allen Fieldhouse. There's a lot of teams that's lost in that place. DMAC, your thoughts on Tech and Arizona?
Yeah, I love this Arizona team. Their loss to Kansas, Bill Self is 10-0 now against teams ranked in the top 10 that come to Kansas. So, that one may be skewed a little bit because of how good Bill Self is in those big games. But I'm with you. Arizona's going to win this one. I'm going to go 88-82 win for Arizona. Fun scoring game if you're watching it this weekend. And yeah, give me the Wildcats. Sweets, any thoughts on this one?
Wildcats by 80. No, it should be a decent game, but I like it. I like Arizona to win the game handily. Had to step away there for a sec, guys. There's explosions in the neighborhood. Sorry. Where do we go next?
That is a wrap for college hoops. We'll give our final thoughts on tonight's episode. Anything you want to talk about here, Sweets?
No, not in particular. I'm just looking forward to we're in the middle of the SEC basketball season now. Baseball kicks off tomorrow, so we've got that to look forward to. It's going to be a great spring of college sports here on Southern Sports Gumbo. We hope that you guys join us and tell some people to join us with you. Kev?
Yeah, again, February is all about playing for the seed, and you've got a lot of teams again playing this weekend to try to either solidify their seed or move up. Teams that win March Magic is great. And you get upsets, but teams that win the tournament are your favorites. It's always usually a 1 or 2 or a 3 seed that wins the tournament most likely. And so that's what this month is about. The teams that can get their seed line up to 2, 3, potential 1 seed. That's what this month is, and let's look forward to it this Friday and Saturday. D-Mac.
I am pumped for baseball starting tomorrow. Jam-packed weekend for me. LSU baseball tomorrow afternoon at 2:00. Off to Dallas for the Shriners Classic, where I'll get to see Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, TCU, Texas Tech, Vandy, and I'm leaving someone important out here.
Now, this is the one on Flow School, right?
I'm leaving Arkansas out. I don't know how I left them out, but I'll be there Saturday and Sunday. So we'll be doing a little live Sunday morning with some baseball recap and some hoops recap. And then I'm off to back to Baton Rouge to catch a 3 p.m. game on Monday to watch the Tigers play Kent State. So 8 baseball games in roughly 72 hours. So going to be a lot of fun here. So remember to like, follow, subscribe, and we'll see you soon.